Start us off, Callum.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Castburn. Today, we are continuing the trend of stealing content from our friends. And today, we're going to shout out Heartburn the podcast by our good friend Danny. And by shout out, I mean take his bit.
I'm going to drive to his house and just scream for a second.
But yeah, if you haven't listened to Danny's podcast, it is called Heartburn. And the reason that it was called that was because initially, this is some deep Heartburn lore. Our friend Danny and his friend Tyler from college were both single and overweight guys. And so they're like, let's make a podcast about the two heartburns in life. The one where it's emotional and the one where it's physical because you eat too much or something. But now, Tyler
he's married,
has a family. Yeah, so he's moved on to, I would say, bigger and better things. But what's better than having a podcast in this day and age? Am I right?
And boss.
And Danny is not overweight. He's jacked.
He's
still single. He's definitely still sad, but he looks
got
great.
The gains. Yeah.
He
looks like a stud.
Exactly. We'll probably see some more Heartburn episodes in the future, but for now we're going to continue on his legacy with Castpod's version of Heartburn. Although we've all been on Heartburn, right?
Yes,
I think I was on an episode, but it was with like 5 people at once, and it was just it was a shit show and a half.
Oh man, I don't remember that.
If I recall correctly, Callum, you are the most common appearance on Heartburn the podcast.
It was either me or Chris, and
I just beat out Chris.
I can't remember how many exactly, but it was at least like 5. Yeah. Because I got a lot of stories to tell. And Carter, I remember, was definitely on there at some point.
Honestly, the only thing I remember talking about was that was early pandemic, and I was talking about like trying to explain the concept of like viral load in the sense of like, oh, well, they say it lasts on a surface this much, but that's not 100% accurate because like that's a lab and that doesn't capture like environmental factor. Like that's all I remember. I don't remember what I talked about heartbreak wise.
Yeah, I'm sure Danny was like, and then why are you sad?
Yeah, well, I'm sad for a lot of reasons.
Just like the episode.
Yeah. But yeah, so the whole shtick of the podcast is that people would come on and they would tell their heartburn stories. The stories that typically it's a breakup story. I don't think anyone's actually ever done the other kind of heartburn story where you talk about like times that you've thrown up or just had.
I tried to, but
I feel like you were the one.
Episode.
I mean, I could start us off with a story like that.
We've all got some good throw up stories.
Well, not the throw up. Just
I got a treasure gold. Treasure trove.
Well, you guys were there for my heartburn story.
I wasn't.
It might have been. It was a Red Robin time.
Maybe I was. I was thinking it was New Year's. But no, that was a good time for you, wasn't it?
Count, maybe not. And then it's like a Red Robin. Hold on, Callum.
Like, oh, yeah.
So it was like, we were like, we're all going to Red Robin later today. But then my family's like, but we got pizza. And I'm like, all right, I'll have a couple slices. I had like 5 slices of buffalo chicken pizza and some wings.
Nice.
And then I go to Red Robin and I have my usual Whiskey River burger. And they accidentally give us like double the fries because 2 different waiters took our like, hey, can we get a refill on fries?
Yeah.
And someone was like, someone was like, we have to box some of these. We have to take some of these home. And I just put my hands on the table and go, if we believe in ourselves and if we truly are men of honor and dignity, we can eat all of these. I ate 3 baskets by myself.
I believe that was Nick that said we should box some of these because I remember that, or at least one of the times that happened to us, where I remember it was like me and Danny sitting next to each other, and we just kept pounding down fries. Like, I'm like, "Are you gonna throw up?" Because I feel like I'm gonna throw up, and he goes, "Yeah."
That was an insane comment my dad made the other day. He's like, even though he's a little guy now, Carter can really put down food. Because I think I had like 7 slices of pizza. And then like, yeah, you can take the competitive eater out of the man, but you can't, or you can take the man out of the competitive eating, but you can't take the competitive eater out of the man, if it makes sense.
That Carter guy sure likes to talk. Oh, I meant eat. I was going to change it. Yeah, I'm so.
Oh, I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I was so coded to saying that line. I was going to say that Carter guy sure loves to eat, but I ruined it.
If we're going to talk about an overeating story on Castburn pod,
ow, please! It sounds like you're gargling marbles.
Callum, do you remember that time you had a DD mean Kieran home from IHOP?
From all you can eat pancakes, of course.
All you can eat pancakes at IHOP. And me and Kieran had a wager going on who can eat more pancakes. And
oh god, I remember this.
There's a little bit of a mulligan, or not a mulligan, but like controversy around it, because he ate exclusively pancakes. I also had, but like, so he ate 10 pancakes, like exclusively pancakes, nothing else. I ate 8 pancakes, but I also had 2 eggs, hash browns, and bacon. So there's a controversy. Like, we agreed that it's roughly equal, but there was controversy among the friends. And then Callum had a DDS home, each home, because we were gonna hang out. Like, we were just gonna all go to Nick's house and hang out. But Callum had to drive us home first because we were both about to poop our pants.
Yeah, DD, because they would have, not because they couldn't drive, because they were under the influence.
It wasn't. It was decided that, like, it was. He had to take us to our own homes because we both respect Nick and his family too much to do the at his house. It would have been unfair to them. I think I remember going home and I'm just like, I walked in and I think my mom was like watching TV or something. I'm like, "Hi, I'm back in the bathroom." And then I pooped for like an hour, and then I went to Nick's house. And then I was like, "All right, cool, I'm going to Nick's house." And she's like, "Did you just spend the entire time in the bathroom here?" And I'm like, "I ate a lot of pancakes."
I remember that story. Calvin, do you have any fun food stories before we get to actual, like, the more traditional version of this
show? I'm trying
to
think times that I've, like, eaten far too much food. I mean, because, like, I have plenty of stories where I've thrown up. I have plenty of stories where I've pooped myself. But none of them were really, like, super food-related, you know? Yeah, I can't really think of a time. Like, there are tons of times where I've eaten so much food, but it hasn't affected me that much. Like,
you need a DD home.
I can't say I ever needed a DD home, but I guess the last time I had a ton of food, I was going to dinner around here at this fancy place that has amazing food. It's pricey, but like I've decided I'm just going to do it for like special occasion. I think it was my birthday, actually. I went like just by myself to this restaurant. And I started off with lobster mac and cheese. And it was like a decent sized dish of it too. Like it was a proper serving of it. And then for the main, I had a filet mignon with a lobster tail tempura.
Nice.
And like a huge glass of like pomegranate, some mixed drink. And then to end it, I had a huge slab of cheesecake.
I remember getting a play-by-play pictures.
Yeah. Oh, and there was mashed potato in there somewhere too. But it was so much food, and the hardest one to eat was definitely the lobster tail tempura because it's half a lobster, but just covered in batter.
Fried. Yeah.
Like, and I had already eaten this full bowl of lobster mac and cheese that I was like, oh my god.
Oh god, I remember that.
But I didn't get too affected by it. I just couldn't move for a few hours after that.
I've had a couple like all-you-can-eat buffet sessions.
Yeah.
Different end of the eating spectrum. Once again, before we get into heartburn stories, something I like to do, and I feel like I don't know if Carter likes to do this too, but I feel like if anyone that we're friends with would, it would be Carter. Anytime I go to a new restaurant, I always try and get something that I can't get anywhere. Like, I try and get the most unique item on the menu.
That's clever.
So, I have had this philosophy for years. This is not where the story is going to go, but, like, I remember my family went to Ireland and Scotland, and people would have, like, prime rib and, like, steaks and stuff like that for, like, every meal, which is, like, it's like, alright, you're not picking, like, crappy meals, so it's like, you're not getting chicken fingers everywhere, so it's like, alright, I respect that. But I would be like, we went to this one restaurant, and everybody got, like, either a steak or a pasta dish or, like, a chicken dish, and then I got pheasant. I was just like, I'll take this. And then, like, there was a dessert course that it was a cheese board as one of the dessert options. Man, let me tell you, some of those cheeses were absolutely terrible. But I was the only one that got that cheese board, and I was like, there's no chance I'm ever going to a restaurant that willingly offers cheese boards. So,
well, one of my favorite. I actually have two notes off of that. One is one of my favorite places in New York that I went to a lot for some reason is this place right around Union Square that was all cheese. So they did have cheese boards. It was like I would go there when I was working with the Hampton Film Festival because someone decided this is what I want. I want us to, I want this to be our hangout spot for when we're working on movies. And my other point is actually you're kind of right. Like I try to, when I go to places, I do try to be like, I'm either on one side of the spectrum or the other. I either get something that I get in a lot of places like wings or like French onion soup, like something that I'm like, I want to see their spin on it. Or I get something that's I can only see there because I'm like, well, I need to try something new.
That's pretty much exactly what I do. I either look for something that's completely off the wall different, or I get something like prime rib or something I've had at a bunch of other places
to like test it,
to beta test it, to see. It's like, all right, I've had like this. These are my 3 top locations for this. Is it going to compete with them, or is it going to be dog crap?
Right.
Me, on the other hand,
Callum will go to Red Robin. He'll start with a lemonade, possibly spiked one. Before the waitress even gets back with his lemonade, he's going to grab the handheld device at the table and order himself a 2-person order of mozzarella sticks for himself.
Which I always forget they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't list it anymore.
And then he's going to order fish and chips. And sometimes they're out of fish and chips. That did happen to him once, with me.
That was so sad. I still like the chicken fingers, but like, come on.
And he's going to eat the fish and chips with a fork and knife usually.
Yes.
He's going to eat it.
Sometimes they don't give me a fork and knife, and I'm like, who do you think I am?
He's not going to add any
bare hand this fish
or anything.
Yes.
Traditionally, what happens is he'll maybe eat a couple of French fries, but if I'm with him, I usually get the rest of his French fries.
Yes, correct. I am the type of person who's like, I know what I like, I know what I'm about, son, and I just look for that when I go places. I'm like, I've eaten this thing before, I have enjoyed it. Hopefully, that trend will continue.
But fish and chips at a Red Robin?
I mean, they're not the best fish and chips I've ever had. Yeah, I know, but like they're the like I won't say they're the best I can get, but I miss the home country and the delicious fish there. So
You miss
I
the
have
home
to
country of a freezer somewhere?
the old country. The fish in England, depending on where you are, the fish and chips is so good. Like the fish, it's not three or four itty bits of I don't know the
It
tail end of maybe a cod if you're lucky. It's like hanging over the plate one solid piece, and it's fresh and it's amazing.
it takes an
Yes.
entire
And
piece
you
of
go
newspaper
to
to absorb it.
Red Robin.
Because where else am I gonna go here,
I
right?
got
What
I
does the
did
U.S. have to offer me?
when I went to England, I did get three different fish and chips because I'm like, I'm going all in. My
You
version of
got
that when I went to Italy was gelato. And yes,
oh
it
god,
really
yeah.
was that good where I'm like, my red blood cells are turning into brown blood cells because there's just so much grease in my blood now that like my physiology is changing.
It's so
Um,
good, and a full English breakfast
oh,
cannot be
full
beat.
English breakfast. I had that in Scotland,
Oh
and
god,
it was. I saw it and I was like, I'm getting this right now. Done.
that's
Like
like
It was
if you
phenomenal.
sliced me with a dagger, my blood would have that weird sheen that you get when you put oil on water, like that rainbow
Yeah.
glow.
it's so
Um,
good.
but like that same trip, I was also like, I was the biggest eater of the family because it was my mom's side of the family predominantly, and usually that the biggest eater test goes to my dad, but he didn't go on the trip because he was going to run a bunch of races for charity, and
Mhm.
he wouldn't have been able to do both with work. Like the nerve of him. Um, and I remember I just kept anytime some people didn't want to finish a meal, my one aunt just kept going, "Oh, Kevin will finish it. Oh, Kevin will finish it." And I'm like, "What are you doing to me?" There was one restaurant I ate 3 steaks at one restaurant. And then in Scotland, there was a place that we went to eat that had phenomenal haggis. Like, I
Mm.
thought it was fantastic. And people would just like have a bite because everyone ordered it. So they'd be like, we're in Scotland. We're going to have haggis.
Yeah, you gotta try it.
And then by the time some of my family members like just broke off a piece for their first bite, my plate's clean.
Oh,
Because it was like not a disc of haggis, like it was like loose, but it was like a, a round of haggis on the bottom, and then it was like very good like mashed potatoes on top of it, and I annihilated like probably around 5 portions of it that night because everyone ordered it to try it, but not a lot of people liked it. So everyone like anytime somebody wasn't gonna finish it, I was just like, "Bring here." And then they had a breakfast the following morning too, and I exclusively ate haggis at breakfast that following morning.
oh
Um,
man.
and then I got one more like food situation story that
No,
I was
please.
also a part of before we can actually get into Heartcast the Burn Pod. Um, I'm gonna try and say it differently every time.
You got it.
Uh,
Um, and it was our freshman year of college. And do you remember the beginning part of freshman year when everyone's in that phase of I'm going to be friends with everyone or we're going to hang out with as much people as possible to get to know each other and all become friends and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this one restaurant where in the town that our college was in, and they were like, I don't know how clear it was to the people that we were with, but as because a lot of the people we were with hanging out at the time came from a little bit more snobby and privileged settings than average Joe schmoes like me and Callum.
Yeah.
Um, and we were at this restaurant and we walked in with a party of. I remember us going and I was like, shouldn't we make a reservation? And it's like, no, it'll be fine. We walked in with a party of like 13 people, like a significant amount of people were there putting tables together. And it was like, sure, we can situate this. And it was like a restaurant that had like a variety of foods, but it specialized in like sushi or something like that.
Oh, I do remember this, yeah.
And
I was like trying to think, where was this?
I remember I sat like, Callum sat with Tom and a couple other like people that we already knew at that point, and I was sitting with pretty much strangers at the other end of the table. And I was just like, all right, let's see where this takes me. And the restaurant hated us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The wait staff was so unhappy with us. And I can tell like the chefs, because like first off, we're like, people are like, oh no, we could do like one big table for all of us, and I'm just in the back of the class. I'm like, why are we assholes? Because like that was one of those experiences that it's like, it was very telling for me. It's like I was like, all right, Kevin realizes how much social skills and like hard work skills he has now.
Yeah, the social awareness was not high in that group.
No. And we're at this like, it's a pretty nice restaurant. Like, at least if I'm gonna look like trash, I'm gonna act nice. I'm not gonna push the waiters for anything like fancy. And out of like the 13 people, I remember I got eel sushi because I'm a big sushi fan and a big eel fan. So I was just like, I'll take this because it's on the highly recommended portion. And then another person got a salad. And then Callum, Tom, and I feel like Nick, they all got fish and chips, of course. And I remember sitting with the people that I like barely knew, and I was just like looking at the menu, and I was like, I bet you that Callum is going to pick fish and chips right away without any hesitation. And it was kind of like, they didn't realize how close to Callum and I were at the time. So it's like, all right, let's see that happens. And I remember I just went, hey, Callum, what are you getting? I'm getting the fish and chips. And I just was like, see?
Predictable. I mean, what do you want?
But yeah, so it was like, that's like 4 of the 13, or like 5 of the 13 people that got like specialties-ish things, or like the fish and chips wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was a specialty, but it was definitely like a pricey thing. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was like they're gonna earn their money off of it. Like, my sushi wasn't super expensive because I was pretty broke at the time, but also it was something that like I drive past the place occasionally for work. It says sushi on the sign.
Yeah, like it's primarily a sushi place, and then they have other things, and we're like, I'll have the other things.
And the remaining chunk of people, Carter, all got mac and cheese. It was like a $5 kid's portion of mac and cheese, or a little bit bigger than a kid's portion of mac and cheese.
At least I got something aquatic, you know?
Like, I remember, because I remember the waiter going, it's like, another person going, it's like, mac and cheese. And I'm like, and then it's like, I can remember there's also Kevin, it's like as the waiter's like getting our orders and stuff. I don't remember if I was the one that pitched it, but I was like, I remember talking about, like, are we doing separate checks? We should let them know, like, instantly.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's just like, and I can't remember if I was the initial one that told him. I just made sure of it with the waiter. I was just like, we're going to be obnoxious and we're going to get separate checks because, and I straight up admitted we're obnoxious because we were.
Yeah, can't argue that.
You know what? I'll be a snob. I'll proudly be a snob. Fucking mac and cheese.
Oh, I was so disappointed. Like, and I came out, I got this nice little portion of sushi. People were like, oh, that looks good. And I'm like, yeah, sucks you didn't get any.
It sucks you don't have fucking that we waste culture on plebs like you. Sorry.
Yeah, no. But like,
sorry that we have this incredible art form and you don't appreciate it.
Honestly, out of all the people that went to that meal, the people that got the mac and cheese, I do not talk to anymore.
Good.
That's right.
They're not interesting enough to warrant talking to.
Like, if you think about it, Calvin, am I wrong?
No, I mean, yeah, we don't interact with any of them anymore.
Yeah.
And listen, all I'm saying is just cook the fish and then talk to me, all right? That's all I'm saying.
See, like that one, that's like, it's still like I can still understand that because you weren't like, you were getting. I remember seeing how much it was too,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember it was like a not like super expensive, but it was like I was like, oh, there's definitely like a like the waiter's gonna get his bang for his buck for this, like.
Yeah, the fish and chips is usually between like $13 and $18
I
or
think it was
something,
like
just for one
I think
person.
it was like closer to like 18, but it also came with like a bucket
Yeah.
of fries.
Oh yeah, no, it was a decent sized meal.
So I was like, I clocked that. I 100% used that entire excursion as a stress test of just
Yeah.
like, all right, let's see. And it's like I'm clocking this about you, this about you, this about you, and then I'm seeing like who's ordering what, who's being like respectful and stuff, and it's just like, and I'm just like, we all suck. And then somebody was like, and one of the people who I very much go out of my way to not talk to anymore, was like looked at the wasabi and was like,
I was
is
gonna
that?
bring this up. Yeah.
And then it's like I remember it's like they pointed it out, and I was like, it's like, oh, look at all that wasabi, and I'm like, yeah, it goes with the sushi, like trying not to treat them dumb. And at first they asked me like while I was still eating, it's like, oh, are you gonna use it? And I'm like, no, but it's not because I have like an aversion to wasabi. I do like wasabi. It's I want to try, like I was explaining, it's like this is more than just like, oh, we're gonna take this fish out of the fish bag and put it on this rice that we like put in the microwave. It's like while sushi is like it's a lot of simple ingredients, the prep and like care for the ingredients is above most other meals.
Yeah, you want to try it as is before you start doing other stuff to it.
Like I remembered, like, because it wasn't a lot of sushi either, but I was like, I specifically went out of my way, like I didn't touch I think I touched the soy sauce on like the last one just to see how it would go, because it was like the soy sauce looked like unique to me. I can't remember if it was a brand I haven't tried, or like it was like a house blend or something like that. I don't know, but I remember I was like, oh, this soy sauce seems different. I'll give it a try. And it's like, oh, you're not gonna use this? It's like, no, like there's effort put into this meal. I'm gonna appreciate the effort and try it as the chef intended it, which I still do to this day.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Very rarely ask for any sort of substitutions or anything, and I always try. If I'm trying something new, I try each part of the dish individually, and then I try it all as one bite. That's the order I always go in, because it's like, all right, let me see how this goes as like individual aspects, get that taste, and then I do the whole blend one to see like how everything complements each other. It's all strategy when I go to restaurants.
I like that.
And then after finishing my lovely plate of sushi, I enjoyed one person who was like pointing out the wasabi. He's like, you're not gonna eat it? It's like, do you want? It basically turned into me going, it's like, do you want me to just eat this straight up? Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
Like, and that's pretty much what happened. And as someone who has the ability to handle spicy food, I didn't react.
Yep. Just ate that whole thing.
I took a huge chunk of it and ate it without any hesitation and made them look like a bitch.
I'm pretty sure another person had like a smaller bit while you ate that whole thing, and then they reacted, and then you.
Somebody tried like a small, like smaller than a pea-sized piece, and was freaking out, like asking people if they're gonna finish their waters, and then I just ate an entire like dollop of it and just kept a straight stone face, like, yeah, this happened.
Yeah, good times.
All right, so now that we're like halfway through the episode,
Oh,
I thought
yeah,
it would
one
be
last
funny
thing.
if we just fully commit and don't
We
talk
just
about
keep-
romance at all. And
You just keep talking about
no,
food.
no. That's part of the bit. Just keep bringing up that we haven't addressed it.
That's true. Yeah, before I get to my heartburn story, I will add on to that story in that I didn't like sushi back then, and I still don't particularly like sushi. But I do eat sashimi now because I found like, it's just the fish. So, all right. But I do a similar thing where I eat the fish as is, and then I try it with like soy sauce, and I'm like, that adds something to it. Because like some fish does have some really strong flavor just on its own.
Yeah.
But soy sauce definitely helps with a lot of them because some of them are just like, this is just a wet thing in my mouth.
If you go to any restaurant that doesn't have a chef mic in the back, aka a microwave in the back, and especially if it's like not a chain, where it's like they're actually putting like a lot of effort into their meals, I always try and tip a little higher, unless if it's like I'm clearly persuaded not to, due to just crappy service and stuff. But there was like, but like I always go out of my way to avoid tampering with the way the chef intends the meal as possible, because chefs work stupidly hard.
It's true.
Yeah, like a part of me would have loved to have been a chef, but it's just like I know chefs and they're all just very sad, miserable people.
Like Logan.
Yeah.
But Logan's actually inverse. Engaged Logan's honestly the happiest I've ever seen Logan.
No, he's cute.
Like, we'll get into that when we talk a little bit more about heartburn stories.
True.
Well, actually, if we want a semi-smooth transition, there was a time where I had 2 dates at the same place on the same day.
Ooh, go on.
Okay, so I haven't really talked about this.
Sitcom?
Well, kind of. It felt very sitcom-y, but they knew in advance. That's the only difference. So I think Danny he was trying to goad me into bringing this up on the Heartburn episode, and I just didn't really feel like talking about it. And like, I won't go into it too much, but I'm polyamorous. Like, I go on dates and have like romantic connections with people at the same time. Not so much now, but that's pandemic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there were 2 people I was seeing at the time, and I had just found out that I had a chance to get a free ticket to see Candace Bushnell's One Woman show in New York. I had worked on it when it was in my area, like it did a trial run in Pennsylvania, and it was getting moved to New York. And I checked in with my two different people I was seeing at the time to see if either of them would go. One of them said yes. One of them said no, but I would like to, hang out. So I just said to both of them, like, hey, is it cool if I go on a date to the show with one of you, and then we hang out for a while, and then I go on kind of like I hang out with the other person as like a second date. And because I mentioned my favorite bar, Old Town Bar and Grill, was in the area, both of them separately wanted to go to that bar and grill. So Old Town Bar and Grill has been there since the 1800s. It has the oldest urinal in New York City. It has this incredible police.
Let's talk about this urinal
oldest...
for a second.
Tell me more about this.
Yeah, it's just a huge trough. It's just old ass porcelain, very clean, believe it or not. With a big ass trough.
I know some bars with trough urinals. It's nothing special.
Yeah, but it shines like a diamond, despite being that old.
Would you eat off of it?
When did you become Jamaican?
I was trying to imitate Rihanna's pronunciation, and I failed miserably. All right, everything is deep, dark wood colored. they have a pulley system. So if you're at the bar downstairs, they write your order on a little card, put it on the pulley, and pull it up. And then
Like
when the
that.
food's done, it gets pulleyed back down. They have the best wings, in my
That's
opinion.
pretty fucking cool.
I would
It
send
looks
little
really cool.
notes.
I try to sit right next to it, and I giggle every time. I turn into such a bingo where I just giggle like a kid as it comes down. Yeah, they have the best wings in New York City, in my opinion. It was funny because Chris, one of my two dates, she is vegan, and I was like, "Fuck!" I did not factor in how little. There are no vegan options here for you. I'm really sorry. Other than the fries and the potato wedges, they're known for hot dogs and wings.
You did say this story before, or not the whole thing, but you said that one part before about how she was vegan and ate potato wedges.
Yes. Well, it was the dip that they came with.
Right.
But
Also, like,
so,
if they wanted to go, wouldn't they have looked at the menu first?
I mean, I'm someone who does that, but I respect people who are more spontaneous.
That's fair. I always check.
Anyway, anywho, so I go on the first date. We go to the bar before the show. Then we go to the show. Great, leave, and like I'm chatting it because the bartenders know me. Like I went enough that I'm like not on name basis, but they're like, oh, it's that guy. Hey, how you doing? And I don't get wings because I'm like, well, that's rude. And then I come a second time, and one of the waiters kind of gives me a look, and I go, hey, just to clear the air, everyone knows what's going on here. Like, I haven't misled anyone. I don't have my, like, friend running recon to be like, other dates here, other dates here. Like, I don't have, this isn't, like, I'm not Michael Scotting this. I'm not full housing this, or whatever you would call sitcom trope. Everyone knows what everyone's business is.
I mean, I feel like the waiter's reaction was, wasn't looking at this guy already here? Alright, whatever.
Yeah, but I didn't want to risk spit in my food, Kevin.
It would be funny if it was like, you dog, you.
You fucking had. Well, that's not really a heartburn story. That's just more of a fun romantic story.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the opposite.
Oh, God.
Where, well, not really. It's like, it reminds me of the times that I've gone to restaurants solo, of which one I talked about earlier, but there have been several times in my life where I've just gone to a restaurant myself because I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry and I want good food and I don't feel like making a thing out of this. So, or I just don't really have anybody else to go with. Like when I was at a conference one time, I didn't know a ton of people there, and some of them were like going off to eat at other places, and I was like, I really want to go to this place though. Oh, I remember it was in Arizona, and so the group of people that I was with wanted to eat at Mexican places, like for every single meal, like breakfast burritos and then tacos and then just like non-stop Mexican food.
But
and I don't
didn't
like
have any fish
any
and chips.
Mexican food. No, they don't have fish and chips. And one place had chicken fingers one time, and that was it. But like, there's just like, I just don't really like most Mexican foods because I'm basic. So I just went to this like pub that, shocker, had fish and chips, and like the waitress was very nice to me because I was alone, and I was like, you don't need to like patronize me here. Like, I'm not depressed. I just don't like Mexican food. Like, but they're
depressed. I just don't like Mexican food. Put that on his tombstone.
Please. But like, I have had moments like that where like I walk into a restaurant, I'm like, can I get a table for one? And they're like, for one? And I'm like, don't make me say it again. Like,
don't make me admit how lonely I am.
Like, let's not make a thing out of this. I'm hungry. So like, and I don't feel like bringing along other people right now. Let me just be me, okay? Nobody asks me at the movie theater why I'm getting a ticket for one, okay, to go see the new My Hero Academia movie. They understand why I'm here.
Going to see movies alone is fantastic. But,
it's fun, yeah.
No, I would go to a restaurant alone if it was my last like choice option, not because of the alone aspect, but just because of me as an individual.
Mhm.
Because it's like I do this pretty much anytime my wife goes out of town for an extended period of time. That's right, I'm married. HeartCastBurn.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say the theme doesn't work because you.
Yeah. No, I still have plenty of heartburns.
Yeah.
But what I do when Molly goes out of town is I will order. I'll order takeout from one of my like either my go-to Mexican place, my go-to Indian place, typically my go-to Indian place. And I order takeout, or get it delivered, because that's a lot more ideal for me. That way, I can live out my best Kevin alone lifestyle of I pull the couch a little closer to the TV. I sit in the middle of it, fully reclined back. I eat my food, and I watch a bunch of professional wrestling.
Mm.
I'll have some beers. I'll rewatch old pay-per-views. I just watch a butt ton of professional wrestling.
That's what I call me time.
And it's pretty great. And then there reaches a point where I get a little drunk, and then because Molly also doesn't like to sleep with the TV on, which Callum should know from me in college. I don't think I turned my TV off once when I was not dating her.
Yeah.
And I'll just fall asleep right there on the couch, and I'll just wake up at some other point. Will I go to my actual bed? Who knows? Will a cat try and suffocate me in my sleep? Most definitely.
That's just how it goes.
But yeah, no, it's like I respect the like wanting to eat alone, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it in a restaurant by myself, so I can just take out back to like my place or even like a hotel room. I've done it before, and I'm gonna watch TV, eat in my underwear, and then like just vibe for the night.
Yeah. I mean, it's much more comfortable, obviously, to get takeout, and takeout is good as well. But sometimes I'm like, I just want the like restaurant experience. And also, like, if you want to go to like a nicer place, like, you want to sit down and enjoy the plating and everything and not like the cardboard boxes. And I'm like, I just want to like do the whole restaurant experience, but not have to make it a whole thing with like plans and like, "Ooh, can we go this time? When are you free?" I'm like, I'm gonna go right now, and I'm just gonna go eat.
Especially in our friend circle that are such indecisive ninnies.
Oh, I mean, Callum and I have no room to comment against that. We are terrible.
I have just taken over scheduling this show. I'm just like, all right, we're doing it with one of these 2 days.
Carter, I specifically asked you to take over scheduling too.
Because I have decisiveness.
When do you want to go? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But
we are terrible. Like,
Yeah, whenever.
At least when it was like we would go get food in college, a lot of time like me and Callum would be annoying as fuck, but like Logan would be the decisive enough one who's like, all right, we're going here, and it's like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, which like, okay.
Or Tom would be too picky, for a place to go. But yeah, there was plenty of times where me and Logan would get food in college, and it would just be like, we're gonna get food somewhere. Where are we going? I don't know.
Well.
And we just figured it out, and both me and Logan are far from picky eaters, so like there was never a wrong choice of food place.
Yeah, that's true. When you're working with picky people, it just makes it even worse.
I wholly agree with you, though, Cal.
I know. I know who I am.
I wholly agree with you. Also, like going to a restaurant or bar by yourself gives you this air of like mystery. They're like, oh, who's this cowpoke who just rolled into the saloon? I don't want to mess with that guy.
And especially when I go to this nice restaurant that's near me, I like dress up too, where I'll be like in a button-down shirt and khakis, just on my own. And I just, I like to imagine that everybody who works there is like, wow, what a weirdo.
Hold on. I like the dichotomy of Castpod, where Callum's like, I'll go out to eat, I'll wear a button down, I'll get all dolled up and stuff, and then there's me who's playing. I'm gonna look through the peepholes to make sure the delivery driver or my neighbor isn't walking through to see me in just my underwear, looking like a savage picking up a large bag of food.
And I'm in the middle of those. I'm the Darren Aronofsky. I combine the classy with the trashy.
Carter goes to nice restaurants in his underwear.
Or I'll just have my like hoodie up and I'll like make a point to make sure my knuckles are a little and they'll be like, God, did he just fucking fight someone? Why is he getting so many wings?
Carter orders takeout and wears a full suit at home.
Yeah. That happens more often than you'd think. But yeah, Darren Aronofsky, the man whose name kind of sounds like Stanley Kubrick and who makes dark psychological films but has a thick New York accent. So he's like, yeah, what I was going for with this movie is J Law is the Mother Earth, and everyone's like, this is what he sounds like? Is this a bit?
I know that movie.
No, but I would never be able to go to a bar by myself for pretty much a similar reason, except instead of like, it's not as comfortable to me, is the amount I would drink is so much cheaper for me to go to the beer store and just pick up like a bunch of beer for the night and just head home and start downing them while watching professional wrestling in my underwear, and then that I save probably a third of what I would spend at a bar to drink by myself. And
Right.
just be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna stare at my phone because no one seems interesting here, and they got basketball on, and I'm not super big of a basketball fan.
Yeah, going to the bar by myself is where I draw the line. Like if I'm going to a bar, I'm going there for dinner and like to eat and drink something. Yeah. I would not go to a bar to like drink and hang out purely by myself. That's where I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Was talking about where they have.
Unless it's that, and then they're just doing skee ball. Yeah.
That's
right. No, I
that's me training.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm training for, but I'm training for something.
Like half of the appeal of going to a bar is hanging out with my friends and the performative element of being like, another.
Yeah. Because like I've gone out here a few times with some people and we'll just randomly start talking to strangers. Like not me, they will. And they'll be like, "Oh, who'd you come with?" And I'm like, "Oh, I came by myself." And I immediately go, "Ooh."
It's gonna be like me, dog.
Like I can't not judge you right now, because like it's fair because there's a bunch of like military guys out here who probably don't know a single person, just got deployed from like Michigan, and they're like, "Well, I guess I'll go to the local bar," but I'm like, I still have to judge you.
I'm gonna go to the local saloon and wet my whistle.
Literally, like you're going at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night to the line dancing bar on your own. Come on, man.
The line dancing bar. Oh man, this Texas sounds like a fake place to me.
I'm just making it up as I go.
Also, if we're going to talk about heartburns tonight, the biggest heartbreak on the planet is my one cat Carmilla anytime Molly leaves the room. Like, this cat she's a little bit on the chubby side. And Molly just came out of the bedroom for a second to grab something, and this cat that was across the apartment sprinted and did like a mini truffle shuffle as he sprints. She jiggled to get to as close to Molly as physically possible in as quick of a time as possible.
I mean,
like this cat can borderline teleport to her. It's insane.
you gotta know your place, you know?
All right. So before we wrap up this Castpod the Heartburn story episode, if you could have one meal for the rest of your life, or like what would your death row meal be? Like you get to choose one meal.
Oh fuck! I've never been good at this question.
A meal.
You're gonna end on it, and you're gonna die.
So it's like one dish we're saying?
No,
like it can be
it's a meal. It could be
okay.
So when you're on death row.
Yes, tell me about being on death row.
the formality was you would be able to eat, like you get your like last choice as a living person is you get to choose a meal, any meal you like. So like people have chosen like 2 quarts of ice cream. Some I think it was John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, got like a freaking KFC meal.
Nice.
Like what would
if you just said a person, what would they do?
Someone tried that actually, and
really?
they said no.
They're like, what about but you said I could have anything.
One of the cannibal ones tried that, and they were just like not happening, or they gave them like a generic meal instead, like a generic prison meal.
Okay. All right. Shoot.
It could be just like a scoop of ice cream. It could be an entire meal.
Well, French onion soup, definitely.
Interesting, okay.
And then maybe like a really nice grilled cheese. Like 4 cheeses, a little bit of bacon, like a Greek Dijon mustard on the side. Yeah, that sounds good.
Or
crab curry.
Interesting. I think that I would have to go with proper English fish and chips.
Nice.
Either that or the full English breakfast. And if I could have dessert,
you would be able to have dessert.
I would have chocolate mousse.
Nice. I would have. This is kind of my go-to at a restaurant by the parents. First off, if I would be able to have if I was able to have alcohol, I would be downing beers.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I felt like that went without saying. I'm getting washed.
Yeah.
If I wasn't to have alcohol, your boy's gonna drink a fuck ton of milk.
That'll kill you before the lethal injection.
It hasn't yet, Carter.
Well, you haven't had the stress of knowing you're gonna die soon yet.
That's a story for another day. I would have the meal consists of a Caesar salad with very garlicky croutons and anchovies on it. Followed up with a rare prime rib. It has shoestring French fries and coleslaw on the side. And then the final dessert would have to be, in my opinion, the best dessert on the planet. And I haven't had to fall on this sword at least once yet. Or I guess not fall on the sword, but like had to argue it much at all. But it's gonna be the big cookie served in the cast iron pan with a big old scoop of ice cream on top.
The classic. I ordered that at this restaurant we were at visiting Joe. It was like, I think it was lunchtime, and we were on this like pier restaurant, and I got these calamari steaks that are like, I don't know how they make them, but it's just like calamari, but like in a big fried chunk. Like it looks like fish and chips, but it's squid inside. Um, I had those, and then the waitress came along after we had all eaten, and she was like, "Does anybody want dessert?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I do," because I saw like they're gearing up to be like, "No, or I will just take the check, thanks." And I was like, "No, no, no."
Oh, I'm gonna get the big cookie.
It was a half-pound cookie with ice cream in a skillet, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll have this half-pound cookie with ice cream, please." And they're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Does it look like I'm joking?" And so,
Do I have clown makeup on?
and the waitress brings it over, and the funniest part was they set down like 8 spoons for us.
In true clown fashion.
I took all of the spoons myself. I was like, "No, this is for me." And they all sat there for a good 10-15 minutes watching me eat this half-pound of cookie.
Phenomenal.
And I think it was like Danny that was like, it's so funny how they brought out multiple spoons thinking that more than one person was going to eat this. And I was like, right.
The nerve of that.
Oh, man.
Send us home, Callum.
Thank you everybody so much for listening to Carrot Kern to Hack Kurt. Wait.
What a disastrous attempt.
Yeah, I'm sure Danny will love this if he ever listens to it.
I'll get killed. Well, he'll like that I referenced the bit we were doing, like Deadpool.
Exactly. He loves that. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening to our sad attempt at stealing content. There will be more on the way, as well as maybe original content, but don't count on it. So
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock in that.
Yeah, I got it.
like and subscribe.
Gotta hit record or stop recording.